Hello and welcome to Roll and Relax. I am Claudia Mühlenweg. I am the founder of Holistic Vision, the creator of the Naturally Clear Vision method, which helps my students see clearly without contacts, glasses, contacts, or surgery. And I'm also a yoga teacher and a role model method practitioner. So that's a whole mouthful. And the role model method is what we will be using today. We're using therapy balls, and then today we will be using a ball called Coregeous. You can use any air-filled squishy ball, but I like these because they're grippy and they're pliable. So they grab your skin, they don't slip off. And the nice thing about these balls is too, when you feel like, we will start on the abdomen, and if that, like one of these balls fully blown up might be like way too intense. And the nice thing about these balls, you just unplug them. And somebody asked the other day how to, I usually just use, like press them a little bit and then use my teeth. You can probably use pliers, but you unplug them and then you let out. So this is an example of a ball that's like, I would say like 60% blown up, which might be really ideal for you on your belly. But I will show you alternatives in case you don't have a ball where you can let air out easily. So I'm gonna use the purple one, but just so you know, they come in two colors. So when you order them on Tune Up Fitness, you can decide it's called graphite and iris. All right. And I started showing little anatomy cards of the muscles we will be using. So I feel like it's like I'm not a card player, but it looks like I'm at the blackjack table here. So let me just quickly go over some of these. So the key thing that we will be starting on is the diaphragm. So isn't this a cool thing, the diaphragm? This is our breathing when we belly breathe. And this is like looking from the bottom, and this is a side view. And it's kind of like a dome-shaped tent when you exhale. When you inhale, the diaphragm, and they don't show that here, presses down, and that's why you want to exhale. Inhale and expand your belly like a balloon, right? So that otherwise you just breathe all the way into the chest. So I wish they would have shown a view from the front, but I don't have that here. And then let's look at the belly muscles. So the most famous one is this, the six pack. That's the recti abdominis. So we will be rolling that. And this can be a strong muscle, but we want it to be a relaxed muscle when we're not engaging it, right? So that's the muscle actually is stronger. And then we have transverse abdominis. So this is on the side. If anytime you do like twists, bicycle abs, those kind of things. And then we have the obliques, and there's the external that's on the outside. And you can see that here in that little line. This is like where you can see it. So it's more on the external, on the surface. And then this is the internal oblique. So this is more on the, you can see, hold on. It's more like the spine and then the lower ribs here. So it's more on it's deeper in the body. Okay. And then these we will, the second part, so we will start on the abdomen, then we will do the chest. And so on the chest, we have the ribs. See this? So these are the internal intercostals. So if you like barbecue, I'm vegan, but that's basically when you eat ribs, it's like that meat between the ribs. It's called the intercostals in the human body. External and internal. All right. And so another big, I'm not going to go over every single muscle. I just want to show the main ones. So when we roll the chest, we also have the pec major here and the pec minor. So it's like this area is often really tight, especially when we hunched over. And at the end, we will do the neck. So there's a whole bunch of muscles on the neck. So this is the biggest one, the sternocleidomastoid. It starts in the mastoid process up here, connects the clavicle and the sternum. That's why it's called sternocleidomastoid. Really long here, so how it's spelled. It's a really long name, like some of these muscles. And then there's some cool muscles I showed the other day. This one is called the platysma. Isn't that cool? So that goes all the way from your jaw through your neck to your pec area, to your chest. And then I just want to show some of the cool ones. I love this one, the digastric. It has a little pulley down here. So, and I'm not going to go over every single thing the muscles do. And then the omohyoid. It's also a muscle here on the neck. So we will use the ball to massage the neck. And then the very last thing I'm going to show is the front of the throat. That's why we're going to use the Coregeous ball today, not these little hard ones, the yoga tune-up balls, because the front of the neck, see, these are not the only ones, but these are some examples. This is called the sternohyoid, and this is called the sternothyroid, right? Because it's right where the thyroid is. And this is the thyrohyoid. So all these muscles here in the throat can be really, really tense. And so we will be using the ball to massage that. All right, let's get started. So grab your Coregeous ball, and mine is pretty blown up. I might have to replace it with the other one. That's why I like to have several balls. So I have one and have them in different, and start anywhere on the abdomen. So it doesn't matter if you start the lower part or the upper part. I like to just roll a little bit around and just kind of check in, and they make funky fart noises. So just kind of explore and just see where you feel the most tightness. And by the way, this is a great way to improve your digestion if you ever have trouble with that. Yeah, this one makes more noise than the older one that I have. All right, so for me it hurts the most, or the tightest is here in the upper belly, like in the solar plexus. So find that spot. Let me see, maybe I'm moving the computer a little bit closer. Yeah, find that spot. And then what we will be doing, first of all, and this is when you have a really hard ball, so you can even theoretically come into it, that's not as relaxing, but if you can also lower your knees and do this, if you have a ball, like a toy ball, and it's really too firm, you can put your knees down and just kind of lift up a little bit more. But if you have a Coregeous ball, really let your tissues sink in. Take just a few deep breaths. And if you're okay, or you have a more deflated ball, you can do this. I'm not going to do that because then my voice sounds really muffled. So just find a spot. And when you have one, the breath we will be using now is called contract, relax. And the way it works, so I'm going to show, so you inhale and you really want to isolate your belly. So you want to belly breathe, meaning really focus on inhaling into the belly as if you're blowing up a balloon. So you inhale. You should feel your whole body lift off, and then you contract your abs as if you were doing crunches. So you tighten them for 3 to 5 seconds. You hold your breath and then exhale. So let's do that together 5 times. Inhale, breathe into the belly. Really feel that you're coming off the ball. Then tighten your abs, hold your breath, and then so again, inhale. Tighten your abs, and then exhale. You might notice that every time you exhale that the ball can kind of sink in a little bit deeper into the tissues. When we do this contraction of the muscle first, then it lets it like release a little deeper. So do it a couple more times. All right, and then find another spot. So you can do that on another spot. I feel a little tightness in the lower belly. But you can also just roll side to side. Like really, this is great for the hip flexors, by the way, too, because we have I always forget how to pronounce it. There's a ligament so you want to be careful putting really hard balls on that hip flexor. So this is a great way to do also the hip flexors. But, we were focusing on the abdomen today. You can roll side to side. You can also just leave the ball. Like sometimes it just feels nice to kind of, but be careful, like don't throw yourself on the ball. I don't want you to throw at your ribs. So I've done this before with this ball actually, where I just plunk down. And so if you put the ball somewhere, like really breathe and then go slow, especially if it's that fully blown up. That's why I like it a little better for some of the stuff on the side, for the ball not to be fully inflated. But find a spot, and that contract, relax breath is really good to use on any tight area. So you inhale, you tighten, and then hold it, and then yeah, for me, this upper area is the tightest, definitely. So we could spend literally the half hour on the belly, but I want to show you all the other areas too. So do a little exploration, and then I'm going to show you one. We're not going to spend that much time on it today. We've done that in the, I think, the second or third class, or maybe the first one even, I can't remember. I show you one that I really love. That's a really great way to get a really deep belly massage. I'm going to do that with the fully blown up one. So you have to put the ball on skin. So you have to lift your top up and then put your belly on that ball, and then you wind yourself up. So this only works with the ball that grips. So you do a little bit of a, what's it called, pins and needles kind of effect. And then you do that same contract, relax breath. So you inhale, contract, tighten the abs, and this is my favorite. But again, it only works on skin. It only works with a ball that grips, like not one of those slick balls that's really slippery. You just do one more breath. And you can also add more if you want to add even more stretch, because if you come to my yoga class that I'm teaching at 1 p.m. Pacific, if you're in Europe, then don't come. First of all, it's 10 p.m. Another breath in, tighten the abs, maybe even add that stretch. Plus the yoga class is heart opening and back bending, but that's when you want to back bend, stretching the front body. So like if you do a yoga swings pose, if you ever do this at home and you do a swings pose before and then after doing this ball massage, and you will feel it's so much, suddenly the front body doesn't stop you from actually bending your back. So this is a great prep for my yoga class that I'm teaching later. But yeah, if you're in Europe, then please, I don't want to see you, because that will be an invigorating, energizing class. That's the last thing you need before going to sleep. And then obviously when you do the spinning, then you go the other way. You wind yourself up the other way. Oops. Oop. Make sure you don't have any props in the way. This feels so good. It's like wringing out your belly, as if you have like a wet cloth and you're wringing it out. Tightening, tightening, contracting, and then one more time. And tighten your belly, inflate your belly, and let it go. All right. So now I want to do a little bit for the ribs. And again, if you have a really like strong, fully blown up ball, be really careful, just place it there. And like, don't throw yourself on the ball, but just kind of gently, gently. And again, if it's a really strong ball, then I would actually make it, put it more on the wrist, the waist. But you know, trust yourself, like that's why I like these balls. And so you can come into a Burt Reynolds kind of pose, or you can lower your arm down and just breathe, and you have your legs bent and just breathe into that ball. So deep inhale. Now I want you to breathe into the chest and the belly. And then tighten, 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 and then and if you do that directly on skin, unless you have like your man with a lot of body hair, then that might not feel good. But if you do this on the skin directly, you really get even a deeper massage. So that's why I'm saying less clothing, and tight clothing is important. So you're not wringing, you're not just wringing your clothes. And in this case, you're not moving, you're just breathing. You can actually even, you know, stretch this arm overhead, like maybe even roll a little bit side to side if that feels good. But yeah, this one is really more about getting your breath in there. So you're getting a little bit of the transverse abdominals and those intercostals here on the side, and then flip around other side. Okay. So again, lower yourself slowly. And if you have a really tight ball, you just want to do this. You don't want to go all the way down. And because look at mine, like this is how my ball looks like, right? I'm not using this one. And if you have the Coregeous one and you has a lot of air, you can let some air out. But yeah. And I like to use this hand to kind of decide how much weight I put in here. So I'm not fully putting my whole body weight on the ball, and maybe go a little lower. I've injured my ribs so many times in so many stupid ways. So I'm really careful now with my lower ribs, especially. You know, stupid things like something fell into a trash can and I wanted to get it out. And instead of putting the trash can on the side, I bent over the trash can and that sharp edge, and it's like, ah. And then for 3 months, you know, you can't lay on your belly and everything hurts. Don't do stupid stuff like that. So inhale, tighten, and exhale. So like I said, I usually spend even more time on the belly alone, but I wanted to show you a whole variety of things so that when you are at home, you can do this. So I would usually spend more time on those that we already did, but let's move on. So for the next one, I'm going to use the one that's more blown up. We will put the ball on the chest. So this is here the sternum, and then we have those pecs, and then we have that, what's it called, digastric, that long, crazy, cool muscle that runs down here from the neck. But we also have those intercostals here, right? Those muscles between the ribs. So, but the first time I did this, it was really painful. And I thought like, man, but I have boobs, like you can, but boobs are just fat. So it's not like those will not really hurt. It's definitely overly tight muscles. So you place the ball on your, not right here right now, but kind of right on your chest. And then I'm gonna be a little bit sideways here. And yeah, this feels so good. We did that the other day with a small ball at the wall. This is a really softening, a softer version of this. And you can let your neck relax. And just take a few deep breaths into the ball. And now I want you to really focus more on breathing into the chest. As if you're at the doctor's and he says, take a really deep breath and then hold it. And then I like to put the ball a little lower. So like when you tuck your chin, your chin will touch the ball, but you don't have the ball all the way at your throat. So, you know, and if you're in doubt, move the ball a little lower than too high if you're in doubt. Mm. And I don't know if you hear that, but I think it's my gardener that just arrived. So that's the unavoidable noise in Los Angeles. So, and then you can also kind of move a little side to side, and maybe you find that, you know, the area here in your pecs is tight, so you can put the ball like, so you don't have to just put it in the center. You can also put it somewhere here, more on the side, if you feel that there's tightness there. And breathe into that area. So for me, this is an area that's not too bad. I usually use the harder balls here because I'm not that tight. But this is a really good way to just check in and do a more gentle version of the releasing of these muscles. Really let the exhale be as long as you can. I feel a little bit more toward the clavicle, like this, the collarbone. So let me look at time. Okay, so we're good in time. This is always the thing. Yesterday I ran out of time. We wanted to do the neck yesterday, we didn't get to it. So yeah, before we do the neck, maybe go back to the belly. Go like any area that you felt was the most tight. Just go back there for a few breaths before we move on to the neck. So for me, it's definitely this upper abdomen, solar plexus area where I feel the most tightness. And this is where you inhale into the belly. If you do this, whatever version you do, inhale into the area where the ball is. That's what you want to basically do. And then this contract, relax breath, I really like that. You tighten it, you blow up, you inhale and you tighten your abs or whatever muscle you're working on. You can tighten the chest, or it's easier to tighten the abs than the chest for sure. And then you exhale. Relax your neck. All right. Yeah, and it's really nice. So you can make circles with this, you know, you can do whatever you want. This feels so good with this ball on the abdomen. I like it a lot, and even on the chest. I hope this was helpful. Now let's move on. Let's do the neck. And I will tilt this a little bit. All right. So for the neck, this is all these, we talked about all these muscles that are tight. And one thing you can do is obviously, also, if you're okay with the neck, stretching back so you get a nice stretch. I actually put some oil. So this is not a smart idea. I put some oil on my neck or some coconut oil. So you ideally, when you work on with the balls, you don't want to, you know, put lots of grease on the skin because first of all, you don't get the grip and then the balls will get greasy. So the way what we will be doing, so I like a more blown up ball. If you let some air out and you have the little straw that comes with it, you can inflate it a little bit more, but you can use it like this too. You can, if you squeeze it, right, you get like a really nice, so you can do that. It's probably easier now. And we will be kind of, as if you imagine, so you'll be going all the way from the side around. Imagine you are like shaving. So you press the ball against the neck and then you kind of spin it while you do that. So you really, and you know, don't press crazy in front of the throat, obviously, but you want to get like a nice grip with that ball. And then you can go all the way to the side here to the shoulder. You're going back and forth, really grabbing those tissues under the chin. I mean, there's a million little muscles in the face. It's like so many when you look at all these tiny little muscles, and every muscle has a job to do. Wow, I definitely feel a lot here. So especially on the sides, that's what we did yesterday with the little balls, the sternocleidomastoid, all these scalenes. Yeah, I feel it right here, like right here is tightness. So if you find a spot that feels tight, you can also just stay there and hold it and press the ball, wind it up in place, like you're spinning it a little bit. So you're really grabbing the tissues. I don't think you can actually see it, but you're pressing it and then you spin it. Oh man. You know, you can do this seated on a chair if you don't like to sit like I'm sitting in this kind of sideways, or you can sit cross-legged or kneel on your, you know, put your buttocks on your feet, like kneel, just basically kneeling, or whatever feels good for you. If that's not comfortable, you can sit in a chair for this one. Wow. So you don't have to go quick. Just really stay. When you find a sticky or area, whatever you want to call those spots that feel tight, just stay there. Breathe. Yeah, my front of the, like, especially right here under the chin, I feel a lot of tension right here. Not so much down here, but here. And I'm pressing the ball up a little bit more here. I'm not pressing onto my throat. So you do the throat and you do that kind of grippiness, but you're not pressing in, right? You don't want to suffocate yourself. So it's really more about getting that, the skin, grabbing the skin. That's why you want this grippy ball and not a slippery one. And that's why don't put coconut oil on your neck before you do this, or your belly. Oh, this is so good. And I noticed that my right side is tighter than my left. So be curious if one side feels more tight on the neck. Yeah, my left side is like, I feel nothing, but the right side is tight. So this is a great way to massage your neck that's not as, I don't know, I don't want to say aggressive in a bad way, but the little balls are more aggressive. This is a gentler way to kind of grab those tissues. It's more like, as a massage therapist, think more of like a flat hand doing this, versus the balls are more pointy, like an elbow or fist, depending on which size of the solid balls you're using. Oh, wow. One more round. And then let's stay in this spot is like really good for me. Relax your jaw, don't clench it. In fact, actually, if you want to do the contract relax, you can also clench your jaw or make all kinds of funny faces and see what happens when you do like sideways. or like lift the, like do this face. So move your jaw around and see what happens. Yeah, when I do this, when you lift that jaw up, that muscle gets longer, so activated, and it's more tight. Doesn't look pretty, but nobody, I don't care. Oh man. All right, so this is it for today. So I hope this was helpful. I really love this neck work. I don't know how you felt about it, but isn't that so fabulous? But yeah, this ball is a miracle worker. It just looks so like an innocent little air-filled ball, but you can do so much with it. And like I said earlier, it works best directly on skin. So if you do this at home and nobody's there, or a family member and you don't mind, like I would actually do this naked or with as little clothing on as possible, especially the ribs, the belly. The spinning on the ball, we definitely need skin, because otherwise all you do is like you're wringing out your clothes, you're not grabbing the tissues. So you want the ball directly on the skin, is always the best. That's when you get the most grip of your skin, the superficial fascia and those superficial muscles that are on top. And then you also access those lower muscles. The fascia connects everything. So even if we can't directly access the muscles inside, right, the internal oblique, some of those muscles that are deeper inside, with the pressure and with that rolling and with the breathing, so you combine all these different activities to really get the fascia and the muscles like to that the ideal stretchy state. So I always think like a rubber band that you can stretch, but it's also strong. So what you don't want is a loose rubber band that doesn't have any pull anymore. That's a weak muscle. But you also don't want a rubber band that you can't stretch it. So a really ideal muscle can be stretched to its ideal range of motion, and that's different for everybody. We don't all have the same range of motion, but you also want the muscle to be strong. And the strong muscle, like a tense muscle, can never be strong. So I hope this makes sense. And spend more time on the area that feels the tightest. So once you've identified your tight areas, they can vary, like mine vary. I'm like, sometimes my left side is tighter, now my right side, but just be curious. And then don't spend like, oh, I have to do an equal amount on every spot. Do like, if something doesn't hurt, like my lower belly or my middle belly, that was nothing, then, no reason to spend any time on that. And the ribs didn't really hurt for me, but it's a really great way to get more space. And, for breathing, you want to have the ability to spread those intercostals so that you can actually fully inhale. And my last thing I'm going to say, the reason we want to do the abdomen, because if so the diaphragm looks like this when you exhale, and when I inhale, it goes down. And if you don't expand your belly, it can only go, if you hold this really tight, it can only go up here. And then we use all these muscles in the chest and the neck. They help with lifting the ribs up. So they help with lifting the whole upper body up when you inhale into the chest. But if you don't really need to breathe into the chest, if you're not performing, if you're not running or doing the push-up challenge that's popular right now, if you don't actively, you don't need to do these deep breaths, right? You really only need to breathe in the belly when you're in a relaxed state, when you're watching your Netflix. So that's why a lot of these muscles get super tense, because they are used unconsciously all day long, because you're stressed, not because you need to do these breaths, but you unconsciously tighten this with every breath. So that's why releasing this tension and giving the belly the ability to actually expand. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have six-pack abs, right? It's not like you should have six-packs abs or strong abs and still be able to inhale into the belly and feel your belly expand, like, as if you're like pushing the belly out. That's kind of extreme, right? So I hope this makes sense and you enjoyed this class today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.